Hello, I am Lackadaisical Luster, and today we will be reacting to a video regarding MK Ultra and many other topics associated with it. So, without further ado, let's get into this.
The reason that all your computer screens are blue lit, the reason none of them are red lit, the reason none of them pay attention to circadian biology is because that original technology was developed in a government program that Bobby Kennedy knows about, and I happen to know about because I went to medical school at LSU. For those of you who've never heard about Operation Paperclip, you think it's all conspiracy theory. So at two-lane neurology and two-lane neurosurgery in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, the CIA.
Okay, we'll get back to the details in a second. I just wanted to point out, for all the people that talk about, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, let's just break down the etymology very briefly of conspiracy. So it comes from two Latin root words, the first being con, C-O-N, think connected, which means together, right? And spirare, which is also Latin, meaning spirit. So a conspirare, a conspiracy, is those together in spirit. So basically, it just means multiple people get together and make a plan. Now, if that is too far fetched for you, I suggest you move on to a different video because it's quite obvious that not only do people get together in spirit, but they also do it in a criminal manner. Now, a lot of the things that we're going to be discussing here today may not have actually been illegal. So you could technically say it's not a conspiracy as far as the legal definition goes. But obviously, people got together, made a plan, executed said plan. That's a conspiracy. Okay. Now, the theorization aspects of it, sure, lots of people can come up with different ideas and they may engage in speculation, right? But that does not mean that nothing occurred and that there wasn't an orchestrated plan. All right. Now, we'll go back a few seconds here. Let's keep going.
They started a program there because I went to medical school at LSU. For those of you who've never heard about Operation Paperclip, you think it's all conspiracy theory. So at two-lane neurology and two-lane neurosurgery in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, the CIA started a program there where they would do all these crazy things to monkeys. The CIA wanted to see how they could control things utilizing different things like drugs and things like that. Where the neurosurgeons got involved, which is my clade, we would drill tops of the heads off, put wires into the thalamus, put electricity in there, and kind of see what kind of behavioral changes we could have. One of the guys that was in that program was a guy named Professor Delgado. When he saw that we could control the behavior with the wired device, he said, what if we do it wirelessly? So he checked it in monkeys and checked it in.
Yeah, spoiler alert, it works. So basically, what this guy is explaining to you is he was, according to him, directly involved in the animal testing phase of of Operation Paperclip, of attempting to control behavior through technology. Okay. Now his claim here is that literally connecting wires into the brain and stimulating it with varying electrical impulses can cause certain behavior to occur. This is not speculation. This is not theory. This is a fact. You can do this, right? This is well known, well documented. Nobody's really debating that this can occur. What does stir up some controversy is the claim that this can be directly translated into non-wired communication. Now, I imagine he's going to get into that a little bit here, so I'll let him, the expert, speak on the matter. But just know that this has been going on for many, many decades. And just because they say, oh, well, Operation Paperclip, MK Ultra, those are the things of the past. Don't worry about that. The CIA and, Mossad, same difference. they engaged in these extremely illegal, extremely immoral practices, but that was all in the past. You don't have to worry about that now. Of course, nothing's happening now. I mean, come on, don't you trust your friends in the government? Let's keep going.
bulls, and it turned out you can do it wirelessly with RFID chips and semiconductors.
Electronic mind control research.
Right, there it is. And many people claim to have had devices implanted at them through different doctors, dentists, etc. And I'm not signing off on every claim that all the survivors make. I simply don't know, right? But to infer automatically that this couldn't have happened because the government doesn't engage in these types of activities is a level of naivety which is almost incomprehensible to me. So, yes, they did do this. They admit that they did this. They are still doing it, allegedly. That's my claim. Let's keep going and see what this unfortunate individual had to endure.
Electronic mind control research is not new. A scientific milestone in this area came in the 1960s when Dr. Jose Delgado demonstrated remote control over a charging bull. By connecting a radio antenna to electrodes inserted into the bull's brain, Delgado proved that the animal's aggressive impulses could be thwarted by electronically manipulating the bull's muscle reflexes.
Do you realize?
And so there it is. Now, admittedly, they did have actual wires and an implant directly into the brain of this bull. And with certain electromagnetic pulses, they were able to basically hijack its central nervous system and control its movement, its physical movement. Now, if you noticed on the first take, the bull would go up to the sheet, whatever it is that this guy's holding right here, and directly attack it, right? And then in the second clip, he is forced to turn away. To me, it almost looks like if you take two positive charges on magnets and you try to push them together and they simply will not connect. It's that repellent, right? Now, this has been admitted by mainstream media and official government sources that technology similar to this has been used in crowd control situations in South America. Now, I'm sure it's occurred in many other places, but this is what have specifically heard about and researched. And so there would be like riot situations for whatever reason, right? And the crowd would be controlled with this type of technology, kind of herding them in a sense in a given direction or away from a certain particular place, whatever it may be. Now, they haven't gotten into this yet, right? But just like your physical movement can be controlled in this manner, so too can your emotional state. So, uh, let's take the South American riot example, for instance, and think about this. Same with the 2020 George Floyd riots, the race riots in the 90s, um, all the way back to the civil rights movement. I mean, that's when this was going on, admittedly. I mean, really, it goes back to the 40s with Operation Paperclip when the, Nazi scientists were brought into the United States to work for the government in developing, guess what? Mind control technology gives a new meaning to the term concentration, if you know what I mean. But so a lot of times the crowd can be worked up into a violent emotional fervor, right? And then literally directed at whatever target that the controllers would like it to attack. So the next time you're in a very large group of people and people are starting to get worked up, you can see the flush in their face, etc. Just consider that this may be occurring.
You realize the fantastic possibilities if from the outside we could modify the inside. Could we give messages to the inside? But the beauty is that now we are not using electrodes.
In recent years, Delgado has shown that the behavior of monkeys can be altered using low-power, pulsating magnetic fields. But in these experiments, there were no antenna implants.
Any function.
And so there it is, it's confirmation. It does in fact work, and you don't need electrodes implanted into the brain in order for it to work. And the implications of that are, I mean, astronomical. Basically, what's being said is that certain electromagnetic fields can be used to alter the states of mind, the uh, control of the body. In this example, it would be with monkeys. But understand that while humans are not monkeys, our system is hijackable in this exact same way. Now, um, when you take into consideration the fact that we live in an extremely technologically driven world today, going back to the blue lights flashing example that was given at the very beginning of this video, every time that you're holding your phone and you're staring at it, MK Ultra is being done to you. Okay, not necessarily the um, extreme um, trauma based aspects of it. Although, of course, that's the case as well. I mean, why do you think that every single time you turn on any local news station across the entire country at any given point in time, what are you going to hear about? Death, destruction, despair. Okay? They are putting you into a traumatized state in order to harness your reaction to that state and then impose a solution. Control, or it's problem, the news will tell you all about those. Reaction, your reaction to the news. Solution, usually more government control. Okay. Now, this has been done systematically for decades. All right. At least, I mean, in reality, this goes back to ancient times. Okay. Now, I imagine it was less technologically driven back then, although some may argue that it was. But whether that's the case or not, traumatize the subject, harness the reaction to said trauma, impose predetermined solution on subject. This is how we're controlled. It's the same trick over and over and over again. Let's keep going.
In the brain, emotions, intellect, personality, well, could be perhaps modified by this non-invasive technology.
Then the CIA took it to the next level. They said, well, since this is electromagnetic radiation, what if we did it through light through screens? And it turns out you can.
I didn't know that that was coming next. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what's occurring. It's been occurring. First, it was done with the TV. I mean, really, you could argue it was done with the radio, not the flashing lights, but the problem, reaction, solution, traumatize the subject, etc. Um, but then with the creation of the TV, right, and then when it was black and white, I imagine the effect was far less extreme because of the lack of blue light and the flashing, right? But yeah, this is being done all the time. Like literally right now, as I'm recording this video, I'm staring at a blue light flickering screen. Okay. Maybe I'm being MK Ultra right now to say this. I don't know. That's the level of um that's the level of, I mean, I guess you could call it control, order out of chaos that we're in. All right. Some believe that we're in a post-truth world. I don't believe that to ever be the case. Truth is not bound by us or anything that we do. The truth is the truth is the truth. Okay, but as you can imagine, it can become extremely difficult to discern in these times of incomprehensible confusion done intentionally. By who? It's a good question. I would say it's a spiritual matter. Anyway, let's move on.
And that's the reason why all your computer screens have the frequencies they have. So why is this all important? Well, the person that set this meeting up between me and Bobby is the patent attorney that made sure that Google and Meta have those things so they can control the things that we all do. Where did the original idea come from that started off in MK Ultra with the CIA? You're going to be surprised when you hear this. It came from the mafia in Las Vegas. They wanted to build a new city in a desert. They enclosed it all, blocked out the windows, invented slot machines that were blue lit, and they found out that they didn't have to take a gun, stick it in your face to steal your money. Then they even got smarter. They said, let's give people free alcohol while they're doing that. And they found out they got the money quicker. And that's when the CIA got the idea to start this program. That's really how it started.
You can use this artificial intelligence voice in the head to break down the ego and control an individual.
Ultimately, yes. You can't plug your eardrums. You can't stop the sound. A lot of the targets are tricked into believing evil aliens have abducted their brains, demons.
They're tricked.
Yeah, I believe he's referring to targeted individuals here. People who are victims of V2K, voice to skull technology. You can look up the patents on all of this stuff. Okay, it absolutely exists. All right. And yeah, a lot of times they'll be told that they're aliens or demons or angels. Um, in fact, a very well documented case of this was actually in the Afghanistan war, towards the end of it, when they used this voice to skull technology, they being the US military, to implant the voice in the heads of the Afghanis that Allah was telling them to put down their weapons. Literally. Okay. It was like a war game strategy. Okay. Now, it's admitted that this has been used in foreign conflicts, but what has not been admitted to as much is the fact that this is being done to our own population every single day. I have no idea what the real numbers are, but what I can say is that there is a litany, basically an endless amount of people claiming to be victims of this technology, this program, whatever it is. It's not MK Ultra, that ended, right? But it just transformed into something else. It's all under the umbrella of the monarch, which I'll be getting to in some serious detail here in the near future. I'm still working on that. But yeah, and this technology is extremely powerful. You don't, like this guy said, you can't just plug your ears or something like that. That doesn't work. It's directly going into your brain. Okay? It's like if you've seen those new well, they're not headphones, but they're little circles with wires on them that you attach to your cheekbones and you can listen to your music that way. It's doing the exact same thing. It's sending vibrations directly into your bones, directly into your brain. Okay. Now, it can be made to seem like it's a voice within your own head. It can be made to seem like it's a voice coming from outside, right? Um, Now, I don't know if they get into this or not, but it can be used to create hallucinations. Okay. Um, so I mean you can just use your imagination for how that could be used. Okay. Um, but yeah, this is very real. Like I said, look up the patents. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Okay. Um, I will provide in the description below a link to a list of different V2K related patents which have been issued here in the United States. So you can look into that, dive into that rabbit hole on your own. But yeah, let's keep going. Let's hear what this guy has to say.
Yes.
How are they tricked?
They're told
By who?
by the voices. A lot of these school shootings, I think that you hear about on the news, they hear voices.
We've learned that Cruz told the BSO detective that he heard a demon in his head.
And police now say he also heard voices.
Who heard voices in his head.
The scripts, they're called, and they're meant to confuse, the very derogatory. That's just typical breakdown. And why would you want to break down the ego of that person? To rebuild it.
That's right. Yeah, read the book. It's from the 1970s from some New York pimp, where he breaks down how you do this. It's pimping tactics, guys. Okay, they break you down so that they can rebuild you in the image which they would like. Okay, now obviously all the motive is there, the technology exists. I don't know any particular names which I can give to that have been complicit or actively engaged in these behaviors. I do know that the Navy intelligence is highly involved. A lot of the tech goes through them. All the of course, the three-letter agencies, etc. But yeah, this type of technology being utilized on an unwitting population is the most effective way to create a total slave state where the people don't even know that they're slaves. Okay? Hint, hint, we're already there. But that notwithstanding, V2K, in conjunction with whatever your beliefs may already be, they feed you what you want to see, they break you down. This guy said they run scripts. This is very similar to if you're familiar with Jerry Marzinski and his work regarding schizophrenia, the scripts that these demons run, okay, uh, or whatever they are, these entities, these spiritual parasites or parapsychological parasites, all right, um, they run scripts. Uh, and if you look into Marzinski's work, he's actually written out what many of these scripts are. And the common theme between them is the destruction of the individual's self worth, ego, attachment to the people around them. Uh, any type of positive emotion must be turned and inverted into pain and suffering, right? Now, the reason that's given for why this is done is because there are spiritual entities or physical parasites which feed off of this negative emotion. Okay. A lot of people refer to it as loosh. If you ever think about it like this, say you're going for a nice hike in the mountains, right? And you approach the cliff and you're not, you have no inclination to jump off of it. But a little voice in the back of your head just says, jump, jump, right? Is that you? Is it really? How many of your thoughts are truly your own? How would you know the difference? If it sounds exactly like the voice that you've always heard, your thinking voice, right? How would you discern the difference? My suggestion would be intent. Ask yourself, is that my intention? And if the answer is no, then it's probably not you. Okay? The reason I point all this out is because this is some very heavy information and it can be very demoralizing. And the last thing that we, the people, need to engage in is learned helplessness. We are not helpless, even to this level of technological, psychological control. We have the authority over our own minds. Period. Okay? Even if you still hear these things, even if you're still targeted, you have free will. You can choose to say no, to not listen, to not react. Now, it's easy to say, be Marcus Aurelius and just be as stoic as possible and it will not have any effect over you. Most people are not that way. Most people are not built that way. And so for the more emotional types, I would say pray. Honestly, pray. And ask yourself these questions. Is this my intention? Is this really me? And once you can realize that it's not you, you can develop your self-worth again, okay? And once you have that, you begin to utilize your agency over your own mind, body, and spirit. But anyway, uh, I'm rambling. Let's keep going.
So this gets into creating Manchurian candidates.
Police have released video made by the man who opened fire at Florida State University.
In Project Soul Catch, I referred to a Myron May as a psycho bomb. They didn't care who the target was. They were just trying to make him explode and do something bad. He was a lawyer trained there. His reasoning of why he shot up the school was he needed news publicity to make sure people understood this was real. And he left the video testimony.
As sick as this may sound, I've even had stalkers follow me into church.
He believed government stalkers were harassing him and using a direct energy weapon to hurt him.
But he gave out 7 packages in the mail, and the FBI intercepted them all.
What were in these packages?
Just information. Just information.
May then opened fire at an FSU library, wounding 3 people. He was killed in a shootout with police.
If these people do explode and do something bad like this, there's absolutely no way to prove that there has been any sort of manipulation to the brain. In this guy's case, he talked about it. I mean, obviously he talked,
but it was covered up.
He's
by
the way they write the article. He sounds like a crazy person.
Yeah.
So in regards to that case, it absolutely could be true. Obviously, it doesn't alleviate the burden of his consequences. You know, he should still be held accountable for what he did. I mean, killing people to bring attention to a subject is not good. Take it back to the voices we were discussing earlier. If your intention is to harm, then you are not in the light. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean that he's lying. He very well could have been gang stalked, attacked with V2K technology, etc. But the reality is that in his action, he did not fulfill his goal. And the juice was obviously not worth the squeeze, not to make light of it. But that's the reality. You should not harm innocent people in order to convey a message. All that said, he probably was. He probably was targeted. He probably was. But then that makes you ask the question, why? Why? And where did the idea to expose what was occurring allegedly to him come from? Was that his idea? Was it his actual thought that said to him that you should go and carry out this horrible, horrible act? Or was that the conclusion of the manipulation? Okay? It's a very, very well orchestrated, highly, highly intelligent. As SRA survivor Nathan Reynolds says, radically intelligent evil. There is, not that I've heard any better way to describe what it is that we're dealing with than that. Okay? Now, to sum up that case, if you're in a situation where you're experiencing something like he claims to have experienced, never, under any circumstances, do what he did. It is never acceptable, no matter what you tell yourself, no matter what is being told to you. That is not the answer. Ever. Let's keep going.
We can't hear this. It's going to, I haven't turned it on yet. When I do, it's going to blast out a 65 kilohertz beam. Because the wavelength is so small, it doesn't spread. Because 65 kilohertz has a wavelength like that. So it's going to be, in that sense, similar to a laser. It just comes right out as a beam. Now, how do we make that audible? Well, they put a modulation on top of the 65 kilohertz. There's a modulation. And now, here's the next thing I have to tell you. That 65 kilohertz is very high amplitude. It won't hurt you, we don't think. Okay? You certainly can't hear it, and we don't think it'll hurt you. And it's very high amplitude. And what happens when you have two sound waves like this, sound plus sound can create sound, but only at high amplitudes. At low amplitudes, sound waves just travel right through each other. You may be sort of familiar with this. But at high amplitudes, you can create sound. So what happens in this apparatus is the audio sound, the sound that you're going to hear, is actually created in the beam, not here. And because it's created in the beam, and it stays in the beam, we have a beam of sound. So let me demonstrate this for you. Let me turn it on. And I'm going to find the piece of music that we like. Yeah. You may not like it. The Eagles. Yes. You like the Eagles? Yes. Okay, good. Oh, we have a friendly audience this year. Yeah. I think they're just saying it to make us feel better. Right. All right. It's worth the $2,000. It's not our money. Now, the sound that you're hearing is being created in this beam. It almost sounds like it's coming from your head. So let me try to scan the whole audience so everybody gets to hear this. Absolutely remarkable.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this is totally real. And an even newer version of this, which is actually available in just the private market, you can just probably find them on Amazon or some other service like that, is they're circular, they're kind of like stickers that you would put on your cheekbones, right? And it will send vibrations directly to your eardrums, avoiding the need to be placed inside of the ear. Okay. And I've never tried it personally, but they say that the sound quality is phenomenal. Okay. Uh, Now, what you're seeing here, right? These could be allegedly on almost every single tower, and you wouldn't even know it. And the local municipalities would not have to disclose this to you necessarily. Okay? So, this ability to transmit sound via the air directly into the brain of the target or the subject, the individual, has been possible for some time. Okay? This is a public disclosure. If this is being done in a public university and filmed and then broadcast to the general public, that should suggest to you that the technology has probably existed for decades. Okay? Generally, when it comes to this kind of technology, there's a minimum 50-year gap between military, usually where it's developed, and the public. So, tech like this has seemingly been used on the population, whether domestic or abroad, for upwards of 50 years to an unsuspecting public before they knew anything like this was even possible. Okay? And in my opinion, this is purely speculation, I admit, but in my opinion, if this is being disclosed now, it's twofold. Number one, harvesting consent. Because once you know this exists and you don't put up any resistance to it of any kind, even just mentally, then you are the people perpetrating it upon you would be karmically distanced from the act itself because you are a willing dupe, basically. At least that's what many people believe. Number two would be that the tech now is so much more advanced than this, almost incomprehensibly beyond the realms of what most people would even imagine. Okay? Now, There could be things like this literally on cell towers, and various other public infrastructure. But is that even necessary? Is that even required? I doubt it. I personally suspect that it is not. I personally suspect that this can probably be done with the devices that we all purchase and carry around willingly. Okay? And I don't know, I haven't done this myself, but I would challenge anyone who's listening to this to really dive into the terms of service and the terms of conditions, um, for various products, and see if there's anything in regards to this, at least tangentially. I don't know, but I suspect that you probably agree to it in order to use the device. So if anyone finds anything, please leave it in the comments. Let's keep going.
Pete, are you getting it?
Can we go from Wi-Fi radio signals, sort of like the Wi-Fi routers in your house, they're bouncing off radio signals that work sort of like sonar. Can you go from that to where human beings are, to images? So what they did is they had a camera looking at a space with people in it. That's sort of like coming in from one eye. The other eye is the radio signals, so sonar from the Wi-Fi router. And they just learned to predict, like, this is where the human beings are. Then they took away the camera. So all the AI had was the language of radio signals bouncing around a room. And this is what they're able to reconstruct. Real-time 3D pose estimation, right? So suddenly AI has turned every Wi-Fi router into a camera that can work in the dark, specially tuned for tracking living beings.
Did you know Apple?
So essentially, privacy is nothing but an illusion in the modern world. Now, some may ask, how is this legal, right? Don't you have a right to privacy in terms of the government? Well, this is why these types of things are often done through private corporations. Now, of course, when you dig into these private corporations, you will oftentimes find that they have deals with the government in order to continue on and perhaps even determine the direction of the technological advances. That, of course, is purely speculation. But what is not just a theory or just a thought is that basically what we have here is a private corporation acting as a buffer between the citizen and the government, ensuring that while the government has to respect your rights, as at least on the surface, these private corporations do not have the same requirements. Okay? And when you have these corporations acting at the alleged behest of the government, and the government are the ones that determine the regulations for these corporations, you have a recipe for a perfect storm where the government bodies can act inadvertently through private corporations. Oftentimes, when they leave office, you will find that many of these government employees will become employees of the very same corporations which they were beforehand tasked with regulating. Okay. I believe in law, they call that a conflict of interest. Okay. Or, just corruption. I mean, to put it simply, how is it not corruption? Okay. It is. It is. We have an extremely corrupt system. This is undeniable to anyone who is not living under a rock. And even then, because they'll come and they'll try to tax you for living under that rock. But look, here's the thing about this. All this to say, the point of this is not to say destroy your systems. Okay. Look at many different revolutions that have occurred throughout history. And what you'll find is that a group of sometimes outsiders, sometimes not, but a group of chaos agents will convince the peasants to rise up against their masters, slay them, overthrow them, and then in very short order, they all starve to death. Okay? Now, I think what we would experience in the modern day, if we were to do something like that, would be a very brief moment of extreme glory. Huzzah! We have done it. We have overthrown the tyrants. Only then to realize that we destroyed the only protection that we had against private corporations. This is unacceptable. We cannot do this. We cannot allow that to occur. We must protect our systems. The government itself is not nearly as bad as many people make it out to be in terms of the framework, the writing itself. The problem is not the way that our government is established. It is the way that it is enacted. It is the corruption. Okay? If we were to enforce the laws which we already have on the books, these things would not be allowed. All right? The problem is not that we have a government. There will always be a cartel that carries a real big stick and says, give us a piece or we're going to crack you over the head with this big stick. All right? That's always going to be the case. Okay? And so unless you really want to roll the dice and you actually think that what comes after the US government is better, I would say all the empirical evidence would suggest that you could not be further from the truth. Okay? So, I know this is a bit of an aside, but I think it's relevant considering the topic. To remember that while this control system is immense, tyrannical, authoritarian, and abjectly amoral at best, if you go destroying the only protections that you still have against these entities, it will not get better for the common person. Okay? Yes, they view us as slaves. All right? I mean, obviously, I can't say this for 100% fact. I'm very skeptical about history in general. But according to the record, we now are taxed more than slaves in Egypt. Okay? By over double, actually. All right? But the solution to this issue is not to burn down your own house. All right? You have a leaky roof, you pull up the floor and there's mold. I don't think that we just burn the house down. And then what? And then we all dance in the ashes? For what? You really think it's going to get better when a private corporation can own your road? All right? You think things are bad now? You have no idea how bad things can get. Okay? Now, you can look across the seas and see some places that are pretty terrible, right? But imagine that. Imagine that level of chaos and anarchy with the resources of the entities which exist here. Okay? So, before you go striking the match for radical change, maybe have a plan. Okay? Maybe have an alternative in place before you decide to go forward with your ideas. Maybe build a new house before you burn down the one that you're living in. Or maybe even just repair it. Okay? It is not beyond any measure of salvation. It isn't. Okay? As bad as things are, it could be much, much worse. And as a matter of fact, while some of the amendments in our Constitution are obviously weaponized against us, the Bill of Rights is a protectionary measure. Okay? So, before you go tearing down all the systems which we live in, consider what will actually occur if you're successful. All right? Anyway, rant over. Let's keep going.
Just applied for a patent so that they can retrofit AirPods to read your mind. Oh. They're fitting them with electromagnetic sensors. And you guys remember when we talked about they could hook a brain machine up to a person and they could look at something and they could use AI to generate the picture?
Yeah.
So that technology, rather than a full helmet via sensors in AirPods, they've successfully done the same thing. Everybody's electromagnetic pulses are different. It's a process of learning. And so they mine and log all of the thoughts, all of the pulses.
Are these in the current headphones?
No. The article I found said they did it successfully 5 years ago.
Oh, weird.
But you know how they updated the iPhone 15 in France with a software update so it wasn't spitting out radiation?
Oh,
They
yeah.
probably can do the same thing with all.
Yeah, and by the way, of course it's reading your mind in a sense, but that would be to continue the example of think of a battery, right? That would be like the negative charge, the receiving charge, right? That they can read, process, and explain your thoughts, understand them, turn it into language even. But also the flip side of that, the positive side of that, would be inducing thoughts. Okay. Could it be that certain frequencies can trigger electromagnetic responses in certain parts of your brain? Could it be? It certainly could be. All right. So think about that. I know it's extremely convenient. I know I've done it plenty of times. I know it's very convenient to just pop in the AirPod, not have to worry about a cord swinging in the way. All right. But there is a cost to convenience. Just like when you go down to the local store that's open in the middle of the night and you look at the, bag of Doritos or whatever, and it's 2 times what it would cost at a normal big box outlet. The same thing can be applied to technology. As it becomes more convenience, the price to pay for said convenience will increase exponentially. Okay? So, like I said, while it's annoying to have the cord swinging about the way, maybe, just maybe, stick with the wire. All right? Yeah, there's probably, it can still emit radiation, etc. Right? But at least we know the long-term effects. I mean, people have been using wired headphones for decades. All right? And we know that it can cause ear damage and cause you to go deaf over time, etc. But I mean, it's better than a brain tumor, is it not? Is it not? All right. Yeah, it's annoying. You move your hand and it unplugs the cord. Ah, man. Is it really preferable to a potential brain tumor? Is it? Is it really? I don't think so. And that's why I personally have gone back to using cords, despite the fact that it's inconvenient, despite the fact that it can be annoying. All right? Just think about that and apply it to many areas of your life, as many as you can. Anything that makes something more convenient for you is not free. It is not free. Okay? And I'm not telling you what to do. Do whatever you want. All right? But just ask yourself, is this really worth it? Is it worth it? And if the answer is yes, well, good luck to you. Okay? But if you're anything like me, the answer is probably no. Now, as far as the wireless earphones go, it's not just that the connection itself creates an EMF, electromagnetic field, which can potentially be harmful to the human body. It's also alleged that the specific frequency on which they operate is damaging to the body, and not just in terms of physicality. We're also talking psychologically. Okay? I'm sure many of you have heard of the frequency at which you listen to your music and how it can change the listening experience. It puts you in a different mood, etc. Well, that can be applied to this as well. So, like I said, the convenience cost. Is it worth it? That's up for you to decide. Let's keep going. Yeah, there's your proof.
So this is not out of the realm of these very nefarious people, like in the CIA and these other types of secret societies and institutions of our government. We're now finding out the use of AI can be used against people We've already heard from the World Economic Forum that they have the ability with AI to be able to read people's thoughts by putting in a little Bluetooth in someone's ear, that they can actually see what someone is actually thinking about as they're working. And they're going to sell it to us, Allison, as this is going to be good for employment, because employers will know whether or not their employees are daydreaming or thinking about other things other than the job. But what is it saying? It is saying that they now possess the ability to read our thoughts and now weaponize us with acoustical types of things that can be sent to us that throws us off balance or makes us feel crazy. This is all, where is it going? All about controlling the narrative, controlling people.
Absolutely. That is most certainly what it is all about, as has been made rather clear over the past couple of years especially. But yeah, I think this could obviously take an extremely dangerous turn here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this led to targeting and testing and even like torturing of innocent civilians, which brings me to my next thought, which is the inevitable threat of artificial intelligence mixing into all this, right? Mix AI into the use of neuro weaponry and you get an entirely new uncharted territory.
And the whole idea is that we would have these biological sensors in our bodies, and then they could read our thoughts, know our emotions, know whether we're hungry or not, or anything like that. And so now it's a warfare of information. They will have everything on you. They will know we're coming and going. And so this kind of warfare, this kind of being able to target individuals, and think about this. There is no way to detect. There's no entry point. There's no exit point like a bullet would have. Yeah. They could just target somebody and they're saying, yeah, he went crazy. Yeah, I'm sorry. We and then turn a kill switch on somebody and, and them lose a thread. Now,
right, tying up loose ends. Obviously this will remind you of 1984, right? This will clearly remind you of 1984. Okay, the one thing that I think that Orwell got extremely wrong is that this technocratic control grid will need to be forced upon the population. Okay, now, I don't know if you've read the book, but if you have, you'll know what I'm talking about. This is all done in 1984. This is all done top-down control with use of like the military, put you in an internment camp if you don't listen, etc. I think the main issue with all of that is that in the modern world, you don't need to force people. People will beg for this stuff. They'll put it willingly. Okay, I mean, everybody was so concerned, right, about Snowden and the information that he put out with the NSA tracking and spying on civilians, right? But then we take the most advanced spy technology which has ever been created, and we all carry it around willingly, okay? And we call them cell phones, all right? So the problem here is that rather than instituting it forcefully, which inevitably causes blowback, what will be done instead is an offer. It'll be an offer. The devil can't make you do it, right? Too many times, royal bodies, royal families, and other sources of top-down control through government systems have had angry mobs storm their residences and pull them outside. The French, they like to use the guillotine, and different areas have different specialties, right? But too many times have these ruling bodies been overthrown, so that now I think they realize that simply forcing it upon the population does not really work. It will work extremely well for a short amount of time until the inevitable blowback, the inevitable backlash, the inevitable pulling them out of their houses, etc. Right? And so what we have today is very different. Look here at this smart city, right? Do you want to make $150,000 a year? Do you want to have the social clout of a title which carries weight in your society? Do you wish to be a part of a system which will provide for you, which will ensure that you never go hungry, which will ensure that you are always entertained? Then wear the chip, put it in your ear, put the Bluetooth in your ear, or else you're disqualified from working at any given company. This is how it will be done. All right. The reality is, unfortunately, that people will likely beg. They will likely beg for these things. All right. Now, while it's unfortunate, it is not inevitable. It isn't. Okay. No matter how tight the grip of control over the population is, there is never a time when all hope is lost. Okay. The only way in which all hope can be lost is if we all lose hope. I know it. Oh, wow. No, really. Okay. Think about it. As long as there is a seed of hope, it can be watered into a tree of deliverance. And this is a fact, something that must never be forgotten. Okay? All right. Let's keep going. We're coming to the conclusion here. Let's see what else this video has to offer.
Watch this. The image of a giraffe that the computer has never seen. It's only looking at the fMRI data. And this is what the
Never mix gelatin with these other 3 ingredients if you don't want the effects of Mounjaro in your body and to see your pants falling off in just 1 week.
computer thinks the human is seeing. Yeah. But of course it goes further. So in this one, they said, can they understand the inner monologue, the things you're saying to yourself in your own mind? Mind you, by the way, when you dream, like your visual cortex runs in reverse, so your dreams are no longer safe. But we'll try this. So they had people watch a video and just narrate what was going on in the video in their mind. So there's a woman, she gets hit in the back, she falls over. This is what the computer reconstructed the person thinking. See a girl, looks just like me, get hit in the back, and then she is knocked off. So our thoughts, are starting to be decoded. Yeah. Just think about what this means for authoritarian states, for instance.
Yeah, and it's not just for the authoritarian state, but also, I mean, imagine the endless possibilities if you're a marketer, right? You come up with these, neural linguistic programming based, repetition based ads, right? And now, thanks to you agreeing to the terms of service, they can implant those ads into your brain as you sleep. Okay. Now, I don't know if this is already happening or not, but this is clearly where this is going. All right. So if ever there's a time where you wake up and you just have a strong desire to go purchase some product, ask yourself, is this truly me which wishes to buy this product? Okay. And if you have any odd dreams which put you into a weird state of mind, right? Or you wake up angry. If you're one of those people who's, oh, I'm not a morning person. Now, of course, I think that is just it can also just simply be your personality type, right? But clearly, this could be an option as well. All right. Now, let's keep going. Let's hear what, what's his name? Sean Ryan has to say, alleged ex-Fed. I like a lot of the stuff he puts out. But I mean, guys, come on. I mean, oh, is this guy a Fed? Is this guy? He's literally a Fed. All right. Now that doesn't make him immediately a bad guy. Okay. But let's call a spade a spade. Anyway, let's keep moving.
Are you finding all of this out?
Years of research. The McDonald's Corporation just had an ad come out a few months ago that they're looking into research and development in a technology that will afford them the ability to pump their commercials into your brain while you're sleeping.
Hilarious. Yeah, I mean, and me realizing that beforehand, no, I didn't know that was coming next. But I think it's just a very obvious logical conclusion that this is where it goes. Okay. And beyond advertising for your for your desire to buy their products. We're talking about entire personality shifts. Not so much you're one person, you go to bed, you wake up the next day, you're a different person. Not so much that, although I'm sure it's within the realms of possibility. I think more so what we're looking at here is a gradual chiseling away. It's more so like you're, creating a sculpture, right? One hammer at a time, just one chip, 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 chipping away at who you were and implanting who you will be. Now, this could also, I'm sure, be used to create false memories, right? Um, and a litany of other things as well. In fact, anything that you can think of that this might be used for, I would really like to hear your thoughts. Um, Not literally, but I would like you to comment below and tell me how you think this might be used in other ways than marketing, personality control, crowd control, um, mind control in general, but also physical control. Um, if you can come up with more specific examples of how you think this might be used, I would very much so appreciate if you would leave that in the comment section below. All right, let's hear what this Senate candidate has to say.
Rights. These are the patents I am mostly concerned about. Okay. Monitor a subject neurological condition through EMF remote aimed at the skin. Excuse me? They issued a patent for that. Reads subject's brain waves and sends stimuli to the subject to alter their brainwave as a desired control. Controls subject brainwaves by sharing modulated light signal. Alters subject's brain state. Controls subject brain state by adding control and covert frequency onto musical composition. All these things are designed to alter your behavior, which is remarkable. Transmits, alters moods, emotion, and changes sleep state. Method remotely identifies individuals, makes voices emanate. Folks, who's in charge of this?
Okay, yeah, here it's just going through different patents. I will leave a link to a list of various patents which you could go through on your own time, read through them. Don't take my word for any of this. Go through, do your own research, come to your own determinations. Okay? And yeah, of course, it's not just the United States, obviously. But yeah, this is all real. It's all patented technology, which is considered intellectual property and is suable if you were to try and use it. Okay. Um, so, in summation, yes, the silent war is upon us and has been for generations. But never lose hope. Look inward, whatever your spirituality is, or even if you don't have any. Okay. Never lose hope. Never lose sight of that which is good in your life. Hold on to it, cling to it. Okay? Don't let it go. Question your thoughts. Don't assume just because you hear something that it's you thinking it. And retain agency over yourself, ultimately, is what this comes down to. Now, with all that said, I'd like to thank you all for listening to my reaction to this very interesting video. And yeah, I'm Lackadaisical Luster. This has been another edition, and there will be many more coming in the very near future. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day.